Welcome to the 23rd edition of Techniche, the annual Techno Management Festival organized by IIT Guwahati. It's been a crazy year for all of us, but Lecture Series Techniche is back and it's better than ever. The main aim of Lecture Series has always been to facilitate interaction with pioneers of various fields, the best of the best. Design shapes the world. This search for the right equilibrium between emotions and reasons, together with a constant quest for beauty and elegance, are the pillars of Pininfarina's working ideology. Their blazing motto, "We move dreams," is the embodiment of Pininfarina's philosophy. With its list of clients including Ferrari, Maserati, Fiat, and much more, the firm has been employed in designing some of the world's most luxurious cars. That being said, I would like to introduce you to our first speaker in the lineup. Silvio Pietro Angori is the Chief Executive Officer of the Pininfarina Group, the flag bearer of Italian design in the world. Throughout his tenure, Mr. Angori has overseen the company through a major metamorphosis in its business. Today, the brand is much more than just building stunning cars. They represent one of the most prestigious brands in architecture, lifestyle products, consumer electronics, and sustainable mobility. I'd like to remind the audience that we have a Discord server where you can watch and discuss this lecture with friends and fellow enthusiasts. We'll also be running a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat or comments. All right, then, let's head right onto the event and welcome Mr. Angori. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this kind introduction. And first of all, I'm honored to be part of this webinar, and I will do my best to give some perspective, some things on the world of design. And as you rightly said, Pininfarina, we move dreams. This is what we do every day. And we are striving to make the world a better place through design. So this is what we are looking of doing every single day. I would ask then Domenico to share the presentation that I'm going to give to you. Any moment now should come live. And I would entertain you for, let's say, 25 to 30 minutes. And then we hope that we will have enough time for some Q&A. One of the things that I do that I like the most is interacting with youngsters such as you are, and sharing my experience with you all is always enlightening. And I'm looking forward to the next 25 minutes with you. Now, we live in a state of transition, and this is more true today than before. And as has been already said, 2,000 years ago or more by some incredible philosophers in the antique Greece, I think we have to remind ourselves that we live today, well, we live always in a state of transition, and this webinar is exactly the witness of that, because I would have loved to be with you in presence today, and as I love your country, and I would have then have a different way of interacting with you all. But I'm pretty sure that we can accomplish the same things, the same thing today by a distance. And in fact, if we think about what we go through today, beyond and besides COVID, that is let's say a current situation that we will go over very soon, I'm very optimistic about. I think what we have to think that the impact of new technologies, such as the Internet of Things, are evolving, are moving us into new social trends, and that we have to embrace and we have to deal with. Thinking about of living in a world that is connected at all times, our ways of our lives have changed a lot. If you think about the importance that the technology is in a world of Industry 4.0, the importance of smart factories, everything is down leading to, next slide, please, Domenico, if you can. Right, and then that is just to exemplify the world in which we live today with the Internet of Things and Industry 4.0. If we think some more about the changes, everything revolves around the user experience that is centric for any business success. And in fact, what we are looking at is to a request for personalized products. The customer, the design of anything is looking at satisfying said and unsaid desires of users, of end users, right? So this is unprecedented, and we in the past have never been confronted with all this. Just a note, I don't see these slides moving. I'm not sure why. It's only me or even others. So they come with lots of delays. I'm not sure whether this is just on my screen or is the same for you.
I can see them move.
All right, okay, thanks, because I didn't see them moving, right? And then I think, you see, with that said, I think the fact that design is becoming central on anything we do is witnessed in different industries. But in particular, if we look at the world of automotive, there is a statement from the chief executive of Volvo Motor Corporation that I want to quote with you for you. Basically, this gentleman already 4 years ago said something that I believe all of us, let's say, tend to share. Today, when we look at technologies and we look at the aesthetics and the design, we are much less interested, for instance, in what the pure technical performance of a car are. 20 years ago, people would have been thinking about fuel consumption first. Now it is design. If we like a car, we will buy it. If we don't like it, despite the superior technological content, we wouldn't buy that, right? So that, I think, is marking a major change in particularly in the automotive industry, but certainly in the outside the automotive world as well. And let's think about for a moment of what design is. Design is the combination of aesthetics and beauty with technology and functionality. The design is the synthesis of technology and beauty, right? So we have to keep that in mind because it is defining our path forward. Now, when we think about design, we may think about something that is immaterial, that has no link with the true business. But that is, in fact, not right. And this truth has been recognized long ago by the American Congress, that already in the 1887, with the Design Patent Act, has stated one universal truth, I would say, that it is the design that sells the article, and so that it makes possible to realize any profit at all. That is one of the statements that has been used in a very famous dispute between Samsung and Apple a few years ago. Some of you might recall that legal case. And everything reposes on design. In fact, let me share with you an example. If you think about the Coca-Cola bottle, there has been an evolution since the beginning of the operations of the company. That bottle evolved a few years later into something that has never changed since 1916, more than 100 years. And imagine this, when a kid touches for the first time this battle, he will make a mental picture of that battle. Every time later that he will, any time later that he will touch that battle, he will immediately think that is a Coca-Cola. He will immediately, his senses will immediately recognize and go through the emotions and the feelings of drinking a Coca-Cola. That is indeed the design that exemplifies the product, and it confounds with the product itself. This is something that I believe you all have gone through and have realized. And that is the reason why when designers are working, they have always the target of achieving a design that is iconic, that is then confounding itself with the product or with the service. We have just recently designed the the airport tower in Istanbul, in the control tower in Istanbul, in Turkey. That design, since it was presented and then realized, is associated with Istanbul more than anything that has been realized in the past. So this is the combination. This is indeed what design is. Design is the combination of aesthetics, art, and technology and functionality, right? Now, design is multifaceted. What it means is that you just don't look at the physical side of the product that you are designing, but you have to encompass several other elements, most of them that are virtual, now we would say digital, that in the end have one common goal, that is solicit emotions. Because in fact, a product or a digital service that you are realizing has a goal that is soliciting emotions, soliciting passions in such a way, feelings in such a way that then you're looking for something that is very much aligned to your interests, your feelings, because we are emotional, we are human beings, therefore we are characterized by feelings, emotions, thoughts, more than any other rational element of the life. Now, companies, and this is where I am bridging the world of design per se with the world of business. Companies that have realized that their product and services needs to be the perfect combination of aesthetics and functionality, that means putting design first, have realized that they can be much more successful than those that don't do that. There is a very important study that has been published by McKinsey in 2018, where they have analyzed more than 300 companies, and they have analyzed these companies according to certain metrics. And in particular, they have defined what a company that is driven by design do, right? And there are a number, 5 major categories under which certain companies fall, are having put design as a priority for their strategy. And those companies that have put design as their first strategic business element, they have shown an annual compounded growth rate of 10% as compared to those that didn't, that were showing a growth of 3 to 6% year on year. The study is embracing a period of 4 years. But more importantly, on top of growth, The other metric that has been analyzed is the total return to shareholders, where companies with design putting first in their strategy, business strategy, they have had a total return to shareholders of 20% year on year, half for the other companies that didn't. So I do hope that this study proves to you how important is design for business, right? I'm not a designer. I have a degree in physics, and therefore I'm very much liking data and facts. And these are convincing me a lot of what was an inner truth not proven. So that is why I'm glad to those that have conducted this study, because for the first time, they were able to quantify the impact of design in business. Now, if we move forward, and why we believe companies that are centered around design perform better than others, because in the end, they deliver an intrinsic value to humans that is higher than any other company. And think about the fact that you are looking at a personalized product or service that would satisfy your own interests, right? And this is indeed what is happening in these days, that companies are looking at gaining the loyalty of their clients. And they do this if their clients, we indeed as end users, are offered services and products that are seen to be unique to us. And think about what happens in these days with the iPhone. You know, an iPhone, well, Apple is selling approximately 1 million of iPhones per day, right? And each iPhone is identical to the other one the moment that is delivered to any Apple store shop, right? Now, but the moment that you open up your iPhone and you switch it on, that iPhone becomes yours, in the sense that it's fully personalized, is providing you unique experiences. So this is why design, therefore, is so central to deliver those experiences. And this is at the basis, at the foundation of the successes of companies such as Apple, right? Because they've been able really to use design to offer unique experiences to their clients. This is indeed what we in Pininfarina do, what our designers do. We are a company incorporated 91 years ago, and we are the icon of the Italian design. What we've been doing in these 91 years is designing emotions for people, designing products that have made the history of the automotive, and everything that has been done with the intent of combining art and technology, aesthetics and functionality. Now, Domenico will run through you a video that is highlighting and summarizing our 90+1 years of history. Please, Domenico.
Pininfarina has been designing the future for 90 years. The future of people, their dreams and desires. Design drives imagination beyond limits and technique. Design enables us to create emotions, meaning, and impact. Enriching and enchanting how people move, play, learn, and connect. We combine an innate Italian sense of beauty, balancing it with technological and business innovation, but also ethics. Design is more than an approach or a set of skills and tools. It is a mindset to interpret the world and to decide how to behave collectively to craft material and immaterial experiences, now and into the future. A future that we at Pininfarina will continue to imagine, design and build.
So with this video, we tried to convey to you the sense of urgency that our designers have in humanizing the technology and making sure that the technology is a support to the lives of people, that is providing emotions, feelings, that is, let's say, fulfilling their purpose in life. And in the end, all revolves around providing a distinctive experience to end users. Think about this coffee machine. This coffee machine that is based on artificial intelligence software would study and learn from the pattern of the different users what their wishes are. The moment that you approach this machine for the first time, and then you do that maybe for a few other times during the day, on the day, and during the weeks, it recognizes you and tries to, let's say, make, let's say, empathic the interface between you and the machine. I mean, that is a, let's say, substitution of a bartender that would make the coffee for you. So you have to make sure that in the interaction between you and the machine, the human being doesn't lose the sense of touch and belonging that it is, in fact, conveyed by a human bartender, right? That is one of the most important fields of study in these days, how to humanize technologies, how to make sure that the new technologies are, let's say, still soliciting emotions to the end users. And think about the fact that in these days, you have a combination of, you have the merger of different worlds. Whilst, for instance, you are designing the interiors of a vehicle, you want to provide the same feelings that your users are having when they are at home, right? So that particularly in these days where you have autonomous driving cars, that will come back later to this, that makes you use the car in not totally different ways than in the past, right? And this, let's say, merger of different worlds is becoming so critical and so important that you see this, how it happens in your way of moving from point A to point B. We are talking in these days about mobility services and not any longer travels, right? Think about the way in which you want to move from point A to point B, maybe with the public system, public service systems. You want to have, and you can have access to quite a number of different information, so that then the travel that the experience that you are building up becomes unique and makes you prefer that line of tramways rather than using trains or other means of transportation. And this is an example of something that we have designed and conceived for the Miami city in Florida. And think about the way in which you use your car. In these days, we don't talk anymore about cars, but we talk about mobility. Ford has embraced this a few years ago when they stated that they are not any longer a car company, but they are a mobility service provider. That means that their mandate is not to design products per se, but design the experience of moving from one point to another, where the car is an integral part of the experience, and the mobility and the experience doesn't end when you get into the car or when you exit the car, but you have a constant flow of the same experiences provided whilst you move from one point to another. And as I was saying earlier, this is particularly true when you are looking at the new world of automotive that is going through dramatic changes. And the changes, to me, are not linked with the adoption of new powertrains, be them electric, hybrid, be them the electric energy provided by accumulators, that means batteries, or made on board through fuel reformers, that means using hydrogen. It is in fact, let's say, it is linked, the changes are linked with the fact that cars will become driverless in several cases, and where even when you would want to drive the car, certainly your driving experience will be assisted by artificial intelligence software and other technologies that would, let's say, change drastically the way in which you go through that experience. So all this is made possible by the fact that you are merging the world of the world of digital, the digital world, with the physical world. And when we design, for instance, a electric moped, I mean, we are not designing simply the object, the product. We are designing first the experience, and we design all the touch points whilst the user goes through when he uses the moped. And everything starts with an app, for instance, through which you then identify the moped that you want to use, and so forth. And in fact, most of the attention is driven by the human to machine interface. That is the challenge for the future. Humanizing technology means to be able to use the technology not as a barrier, but as an integral part of the experience that you want to provide to the end users. Now, our designers have taken this to the extreme, and they have worked on a concept vehicle that is called the Theorema, that we have just presented just last week. So I'm sharing outside of the press conference for the first time this video and this content. And I do think that you will find lots of inspiration and the synthesis of what I've just said, that I've said so far. First of all, let me clarify one thing. Why designers do concept products, concept cars, such as in this case, is because that it becomes a laboratory through which all ideas, the most advanced ideas, are put on test. And many cases, these objects are becoming real objects. In this case, that is a virtual show car or concept car. What it means, it is only living in a digital world. And through virtual reality and augmented reality, we have developed this concept vehicle, and it is, let's say, the experience of people using this vehicle and approaching this vehicle is done best through virtual reality. So now you will see a 2D video, right? But if you were to come to Italy anytime soon, we could then provide you with glasses that for 3D visualization, and you will see a car that in reality you will not be able to distinguish whether it is real or virtual. So Domenico, can you play the video, please?
Pininfarina has been creating the world's most iconic vehicles for the last 90+1 years. But the Theorema is our first virtual concept car. It's a hive of innovative ideas which embrace numerous new technologies, as well as a showcase for the techniques which allow cars to be created almost entirely virtually. Fundamental to the project was our virtual lab, where augmented, virtual, and now our mixed reality brings you as close as you can get to a real vehicle. Moving to a future beyond instrument screens, the whole interior becomes the sensual interface for the latest information and autonomous technologies. Artificial intelligence helps the vehicle learn about the area it's traveling through, so that it can breathe life into a unique kind of interior space. But why go to these lengths? Why push innovation? Because we want to give people the chance again to really enjoy the journey, despite all the restrictions and frustrations of modern driving. To allow people to live experiences previously not possible. To once again godere la vita while on the move. Every part of the car has been reimagined to make this possible, even down to how you get into it. By orchestrating the data, we can now sculpture emotions, almost like forming the three-dimensional shapes of a car.
Right. I hope that you have enjoyed this concept vehicle. And I want to, I'm almost concluding my speech. But I want to do that quoting a famous phrase that probably you have already read from Mr. Lewis Carroll, that says that it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. But if you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that. So this is what you are faced every day. We are faced every day. We have to run at least twice as fast as we possibly can. And with that said, I'm concluding my essay telling you that the mandate, the mission that our designers have, that Pininfarina has, is every day accomplishing this, making the world a better place through design. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that very enlightening lecture, sir. It's been all very wonderful. The audience has been very responsive on all our platforms. We'll be taking some questions now. Our first question is from Arjun, who says he's an aspiring automotive designer. He says, cars have traditionally had the strength over other products to form strong emotional bonds with their users due to the active involvement through driving. A switch to autonomy is going to cause a loss of this. How can we counter this and still ensure that people have a strong bond with their vehicles and don't treat it as just another product?
Well, that is a wonderful question. So I thank Ajay, I think it was, for posing this question. And in fact, most of the efforts that our designers are producing today is in response to exactly that question: how to make to make sure that users of a vehicle that were loyal to the brand, to that product and that brand because they were able to drive it, now that the car is going autonomous, they are still kept loyal. And in fact, this goes through designing the experience, rethinking completely the experience that a driver that is not driving that car anymore would still continue to go through, right? This is in fact is what designers would do. They would involve psychologists, they would involve sociologists, they would involve historians. So they will, let's say, involve several other competent people that in the past were not part of the process, just to analyze the patterns according to which the users were used to go through, and how we can then, if not replicate it, offer something of the same strength that would provide the same emotions, the same, that would then lead to the same bonds, right? This is why we talk about mobility and designing a mobility service rather than designing a product. Quite an interesting question, that one, and this is in fact what most of the advanced companies are looking at and working every day. So in fact, if you would have, I would invite you to go through the video of Theorema another time, that probably you will find responses to that query. Thank you.
It's very intriguing to know everything that goes into designing an experience. Our next question is from Prakash. Are the new age technologies causing decline in human empathy?
Again, another magic question, because it is true. Technology, if not humanized, will take out the human empathy, no doubts about it, right? Now, there is a level beyond that the technology cannot be humanized. Let me be very specific on it. Nothing will substitute a very strong handshake or a hug, right? We have now been experiencing through COVID how we can interact by a distance and how technology is helping to bridge barriers. But there is a point beyond which the technology cannot be humanized, right? Now, whether this can be, let's say, if the technology will evolve into zeroing any barrier, that might be possible. I don't know. This is what we are working on. But as human being, I believe that the empathy of humans won't be replaced by any technology at all.
I think designers have a huge job in front of them. I hope that answers your question, Prakash. Our next question is from S.p.A. from Hyderabad. She asks us, how has the relationship with Mahindra been for your company?
Oh, that is a magic relationship and a magic question to answer. We are part of the Mahindra's group since 2016, so for the last 5 years. And it has been enlightening for us because being part of such a large group has provided us the benefit of looking at the world from different lenses. We've been able to apply our competencies in so many different fields other than automotive through the involvement in the different businesses of Mahindra. And I think, can I say, I think it has been, let's say, posing us new challenges, but interesting challenges that, well, we deem that we have addressed them all, and some others will come every day, right? But it is, in fact, very important. It has been very important for us to be part of a global group such as Mahindra, no doubts. Thank you for the question.
I hope that answers your question. I have a question from Sahil here. He asks, do you often see a disparity between what a designer visualizes versus what an engineer deems possible? Are the Pininfarina designers expected to have some knowledge on the required mechanics?
Okay, well, again, a very interesting question. that is always between the debate. This is the debate all between style and engineering, right? Because design is the combination of style and engineering. And our designers are working. When we say designers, we're talking about creative minds, right? But they are working hands in hands with engineers. There is a debate between engineering and designers, by all means. And the beauty is that in the end, there will be, let's say, a common goal achieved, right? Because in fact, a perfect design is that one that is keeping and enhancing the technological content with the aesthetic. Our designers have a background, but if we talk about automotive, they have a background in engineering as well, right? Because you cannot design a vehicle without having some basic knowledge of engineering. And I wouldn't say that our engineers have the same level of degree of knowledge on design, right? But certainly they have a taste for it, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to create the products that we have conceiving over time, right? So, as I said, the beauty of a design house is that you find there the combination of technology and art, and you cannot go without both. Thank you.
I think that's very good advice for aspiring product and industrial designers. Rigved here asks, what advice would you give to your younger self at the start of your career?
Well, first of all, my best advice that I would give to myself, and therefore to you that are listening at me, I would tell myself, follow your passion all the time, right? Don't make choices, at least when you are at university, before college or at college. Follow your passion. Go for anything that would satisfy your interests. Can you imagine how boring would be the rest of your life if you would be working on something that you don't like, that doesn't attract you? And you will find always your trajectory. You will find always your path. The life will guide you through the different experiences. And after 10 years, you will see that you ended up in something that was satisfying yourself. If you love philosophy, go and study philosophy. If you love engineering, go and study engineering. If you like political sciences, follow political sciences. Don't look at being at college for which is the best way of earning money or earning a reputation in the society. That is the wrong target, because you will realize later that you have gone wrong. I'm a physicist. I loved philosophy. I'm a physicist. I was in research for some years after my degree. And then I thought that business was more interesting for me. And I went to Chicago for an MBA. So you see, you find your ways while you walk through. So that would be my best advice to all of you. Follow your emotions and your passions, and you will always be right.
I think a lot of us had to hear that from you. The next question is from my father. He asks, how do you make products affordable to all sections of society? And many brands like Apple are beyond reach for all.
Right. That is again a very interesting question. And the one thing that I want to tell, and I remind, I was in India at a conference, I think 3-4 years ago now, and the title of the conference was "What is Luxury?" Why we were invited? I was invited as Pininfarina because we, the world, think that we have been designing very luxury cars, such as the Ferrari. Yes, it's true. We have designed the Ferraris, the Maseratis, and so forth. But 90% of the products that we have designed were for mass, for segments, for lower segments of the market. Design and beauty is affordable for the very simple reason that has not to be luxurious. And if you think about lots of products that are, let's say, using technology to the extent that that is made affordable, that I think is the mandate of designers. Designing an expensive product is simple. It's very simple. Designing an affordable product is more complex because it goes towards simplicity. And therefore, this is what our designers are striving for, simplicity at all times, because elegance is simplicity, you know? So I know that might not be convincing what I'm saying, but I could provide you so many different examples of products that are affordable at all times. And certainly I know Apple is a very expensive product, right? But because I believe it comes from the narrative that has been built around the brand, that is building up a brand in reality, where then you, let's say, would buy a product just to be part of a club, right? That are the most successful brands are doing this. But if I go back in time to something, to a product that probably you know today, but when it was launched, no one of you would have been born because it was in the 80s, early 80s. This watch, you remember, you know this watch, right? The Swiss watch. At that time, was the cost of that watch in Europe was 20 euros. That is still quite an important amount of money, no doubts. But at that time, watches were probably at least 3 times that price. And it gained, in a matter of 2 years, it was the most sold watch in the world, right? And it was not that expensive. And you think about the Finnish design, you think about IKEA, right? That is affordable design and it's very stylish. So in essence, design is, among other things, even the is simplicity at its best. And simplicity comes with affordability at the same time.
I would like to take a few more questions. We have only 10 minutes left. Aryan asks, with the development of more sustainable and efficient sources of power for vehicles, would this give more freedom to transportation designers to create more radical and unique designs? And will CFD still have as big of a role as it does now?
Yes, that is again a very interesting question. And my response is yes. The new powertrains, new technologies are given designers much more freedom than in the past. Think about this. The automobile industry started in 1840, 1850 with electric powertrains. And then there was Mr. Benz that developed the diesel engine, right? And all the engines became petrol and diesel engines, right? And we abandoned, let's say, electric powertrains. The transition that we are going through today in automobile is the very true radical change that is happening since 150 years. That is the golden era of designers. That is the reason why the chief executive of Volvo 4 years ago said, it's not technology that matters the most in this moment, but it's design. And in fact, the most successful automobile companies, I'm just talking about automobile in this moment, but are those that put design first in their strategy. Designers have the most freedom of all in these days. And they are revolutionizing the automobile industries first. And if you look at Theorema, again, the concept vehicle that we have shown exactly says that. That is an uncommon car, right? And it's only possible, made possible by the new technologies and the new powertrains, right? And by the way, the technologies that is underneath that concept vehicle is available today. So it's not something that we are, let's say, thinking about a technology will come in 15 to 20 years. No, no, no. It's available today. It's the way in which these different technologies are assembled together that makes a major difference and makes it to radical changes, right?
I hope that answered your question. We have time for like one last question. And I think as young students studying design, it's been on all of our minds here. Sahil asked us, what would it take for me to get a job in Pininfarina?
That is a nice and interesting question. We do have, we take 4 to 6 interns every year. And it is a matter of fact that we get lots of applications from all over the world, right? And what it takes to be selected, well, basically it takes a portfolio that shows innovation, that shows radical thinking, that shows passion first and foremost. We have, for instance, we have Indian designers in Pininfarina. The beauty of Pininfarina is that today we are operations in China, in Europe, in North America. We have 36 different nationalities. So it takes a lot of, let's say, courage to apply, but put your best efforts, and maybe you will be part of us very soon. I will be looking forward to that.
Thank you very much for that answer. Well, do you have anything you'd like to say to the audience, sir?
What I would like to restate is this: follow your dreams, follow your passions, and think big. Don't be shy. I mean, you have an age and where life has no borders, no constraints. So use it. Use all the freedom that you have to imagine a big world, to imagine big moves, and you will realize it, no doubts about it. But first and foremost, use as a driver your passion, your dedication to the passion. I wish to say that talent per se is not enough. You need to exercise yourself a lot, but the combination of passion and dedication will take you all to your objectives. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you in a few years. And I would be delighted to learn what you have achieved in life. I would be delighted to know.
We would love to stay in touch. Before I conclude, I'd like to remind the audience that we have exciting new events coming up, and we'll be putting all these links in our chat. And just a short promo for a very interesting panel that we have coming up. I'll be sharing it.
Well, we meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. Man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, and it is one of the great adventures of all time.
So that's the promo for our exciting panel discussion this weekend. So before you leave, I'd like to request you to stay back to chat with our team after this event. I think you're muted.